The title of the book I read is The Fault in Our Stars. The author of the book I read is John Green, and it's an American writer, and he was born in Indianapolis, United States, on August 24, 1977. He lives his childhood and youth in Florida when he was victim of bullying and suffered from obsessive-compulsive disorder. At this time, he started to be more interested in literature and religion. Later on, he moved to Chicago, where he began his literary studies. He eventually became a very famous writer. The genre of the book is fiction literature for young adults. The year of publication is 2012. Short summary about the book. This book is about the story of a 17-year-old girl who has lung cancer and decides to attend a cancer support group when she meets a young boy whose name is Augustus. This is a love story, but a different one from the ones we are used to read. This one is more complicated because of all the medical issues and the situations that the characters go through from the beginning until the end. It is not the same to fall in love when you know that you have a whole life ahead than when you know that you just have a little time left. The emotions, feelings, and thoughts are upside down and much stronger. Book analysis. The themes of the book are death and mortality, love, family support, the meaning of life, and courage. In the next example of page 30, we can see how painful cancer is and how important it is to have your family by your side and they support in every step of the way. Dying is very hard, and it's very important to be next to people that you love and care for you. Citation. I just kind of crawled across the couch into her lap, and my dad came over and held my legs really tight, and I wrapped my arms all the way around my mom's middle, and they held onto me for hours while the tide rolled in. The main characters of the story are Hazel and Augustus. Hazel is a 16-year-old girl, and she is the narrator and protagonist of the story. When she was 13 years old, she was diagnosed with terminal thyroid cancer, and afterwards he spread it to her lungs. She doesn't like to get close to the people because she knows her death will hurt them, until she falls in love with Augustus. Augustus is also 16 years old. He has osteosarcoma, and he falls in love with Hazel almost immediately after meeting her in a cancer support group. He cares about Hazel, and he tries to make her happy with romantic gestures. The tone of the book are serious, sometimes sarcastic and very frank, because everything that the characters say is very direct, and they say it as it is. They are straightforward when talking about the reality, their feelings, and their emotions. We can see an example in page 62. Citation. I hadn't been in proper school in 3 years. My parents were my two best friends. My third best friend was an author who did not know I existed. Writing style. The novel is written in the first person, from the perspective of the main character Hazel. This makes the story very intimate and personal, and it makes the reader feel close to her. We can see an example of this in page 41. Citation. I tried to tell myself that it could be worse, that the world was not a wish-granting factory, that I was living with cancer, not dying with it, that I mustn't let it kill me before it kills me. In this example, we can see that Hazel doesn't want to let cancer rule her life, and she tries to enjoy the time she has left. When she talks, we feel close to her, and we care for her feelings and thoughts. Figurative language. Metaphor. Page 98. You are not a grenade, not to us. Thinking about your dying makes us sad, but you are not a grenade, Hazel. In this example, we can see how they use the word grenade to talk about a person who is explosive, because all the emotion, feelings, and frustrations that she has inside. Onomatopoeia. Page 25. Usa a phalanxifor. This is onomatopoeia because it displays a sound that Hazel made when she's talking about a medication that helps to slow cancer in only 30% of the patients, and it worked for her. Alliteration. Page 1633. Two teenagers trust together in true love. This is alliteration because most words of the sentence begin with the same letter. Hyperbole, page 32. We heard him recount his sad story 4,000 times. This is hyperbole because it is an exaggerated statement that is not meant to be taken literally. Simile, page 12. I fear oblivion. I fear it like the proverbial blind man who's afraid of the dark. This is simile because they are comparing two things that are not similar but have some qualities in common. Symbols. One symbol we can find in the book is Augustus' cigarettes that represents his attempt to deal with things he fears and control them, like cancer. We can see an example in page 20. Citation. It's a metaphor, see? You put the killing thing right between your teeth, but you don't give it the power to do its killing. Another symbol is the elevator in the church that goes to the basement where a support group meets. The elevator in the book is a symbol of death because the people that take it are the ones who are close to death. We can see an example in page 8. Citation. Because taking the elevator is a last day kind of activity at support group. That's why Hazel doesn't take the elevator, even though taking the stairs is hard on her lungs. Plot explanation. This story is about two young teenagers who meet in a cancer patient support group. Hazel had thyroid cancer that spread to her lungs. Augustus used to have osteosarcoma, but he was cancer-free after having his leg amputated. The first time they met, they agreed to read one another's favorite novels, and Hazel recommends An Imperial Affliction. She was very interested in the author of the book, who went to Amsterdam after the novel was published, and nobody heard from him again. A week after Hazel and Augustus discussed the meaning of the book, Augustus revealed to Hazel that he was able to track down the author of the book. And Hazel started writing a list of questions, hoping to clear the mysterious ending of the book. Eventually, the author replies and he invites her to see him if she ever goes to Amsterdam. After this, Augustus invites Hazel to a picnic where he tells her that a charitable foundation has agreed to take them both to Amsterdam to meet the author. Hazel was very excited and she realized she's falling in love with Augustus. Then she suffers a very bad episode because her lungs fill with fluid and she ends up in the hospital. After many days, she's released from the hospital and Augustus gives her another letter of the author. And she decides that she wants to go to Amsterdam. So her doctor talked to her parents and convinced them to let Hazel go because she needs to live her life. Finally, they go to Amsterdam with Hazel's mother, and when they meet the author, they find out that he was a drunk and a very mean person, and they were very disappointed. After meeting him, they go to visit Anne Frank's house and they kiss for the first time. Then they go to the hotel and they have sex for the first and the only time. The next morning, Augustus tells Hazel that his cancer has returned and spread everywhere. They go back to Indianapolis and Augustus' condition gets worse. He arranged a funeral for himself with Hazel and Isaac, a friend they had in common. They have a speech to praise him and they talk about how they feel. Hazel tells Augustus that she will never trade their short time together for anything in the world. 8 days later, Augustus dies and the author goes to the funeral to make up for his rude attitude when they were in Amsterdam. A few days later, Isaac tells Hazel that Augustus was writing something for her. It was a sequel for An Imperial Affliction. The story concludes with Hazel reading Augustus' words. Citation. Getting hurt in this world is inevitable, but we get to choose who we allow to hurt us. End of citation. He said he was happy with his choice and that he hopes she likes her choice too. Finally, she says she does. Conflict. The conflict we can see in this book is character versus self, because Hazel is struggling from the beginning with her own desires and beliefs, and she has an internal conflict on how to live her life and find meaning in it. Message and moral lesson. For me, the main lesson of this book is that we have to enjoy life because we never know how and when we are going to die. In life, bad things happen, and most of the time we can't avoid them or change them. The only thing we can control is the way we live our life and the things we do when we have the time. We should appreciate what we have and the people we love, because nothing is for granted. Opinion and recommendation of the book. I highly recommend this book because it has a great message. It's strong and very sad, but it makes you reflect about life, family, love, friends, and your purpose in life. I like books that are more than a simple story. I like the ones that make you think and question things. I think that it's important that young adults and teenagers read about these topics because they represent the real life. Thank you.